Hey, it's Mike Linkenoker, and welcome to the Coach and Mike Friends podcast. The podcast is a place full of real conversations with real people and real experiences. As I sit down with others, there's going to be no script, no filter. Whether we're talking about life, sports, win, losses, or lessons learned, there won't be perfect answers, just honest conversations and a few laughs along the way. So sit back, get ready to hear a story or two, settle in, and let's get into it. This is this week's episode of the Coach Mike and Friends podcast.
It's the roux, and that's an excellent roux. This is great. It's got a lot of bite to it.
I mean, when the flavor comes from like burnt flour, and that's the best you had at the time to add flavor to something. You know it is like, you can call it peasant food, but it's one of the most delicious things in the entire world.
My goodness.
When you cook gumbo, like taking the roux that dark, everything in your instincts as a cook tells you I should stop, this is burnt. But the longer you take it, the darker and more burnt it gets, the better it tastes. So it's this kind of ultimate trusting in those who came before you. Have you ever had a moment like that as an actor where you're like, this director is asking me to do something crazy and it's against my instincts, but I'm going to trust the process?
You're good. Taking it from gumbo to directing, that was good.
I was worried I wasn't going to find it, and sometimes I don't.
You did. Cheers.
Cheers.
You have to look at each other.
You do. That was about. I feel like we have to redo that take, and we can act like the previous take didn't. Cheers.
Cheers.
Oh, you got to hit it on the table.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Sorry. That's
Jesus,
a take
it's
three.
become
Do we need
tyranny.
slate?
Okay. Ready? Cheers.
Bravo.
In my house, everyone says, you didn't look at me. When there's 7 people at the table, I go, can we just drink? Yeah, trusting the director. What a concept. As I've gotten older, I'll do it as it's written and I'll do it as they have directed it, at least once. And then if I've got a better idea, rather than arguing, I just say, you want to see something? And I'll try it that way. I did a TV series for 11 years. Shameless. A whole decade of getting to show up and ply your trade. It's my 10,000 hours. And I put down a lot of baggage that I'd been carrying around as an actor, all this stuff that I thought was important. And it allowed me to realize that scene wasn't so good, but there's another scene. And that episode was pretty bad, but there's another episode, and it doesn't really matter. And then scenes that I had argued about, or plot points, or plot lines, I said, this is stupid, it's too broad, it doesn't make any sense. When I would see it, it's not that I wasn't right, it was stretched, it could have been better, but it wasn't that bad. And it didn't make any difference.
Yeah. Your worst fears are always significantly worse than the actual reality.
Totally. And it's a weird way to make a living, man, because on one hand, what's more important than the actor? I mean, until we get it right, nobody goes home.
Yeah.
And true order of things, the writer is number one. If you don't have a good script and a good story to tell, why show up? It ain't gonna get better. Because the audience only wants to know one thing. Emotions, they just want to know the story. Tell me the story. That's what they paid the money for. And it's so easy for us to say, no, it's about my lighting, it's about my costumes, it's about the makeup I did. That stuff is important and it really helps, but at the end of the day, it's the writer. And next in line comes the director, because somebody's got to put it all together. And the producer too, right? Director and producer. The producer hires the director. The actors come way late.
Yeah, just below gaffer.
Just below gaffer.
This podcast today is brought to you by Sprite Zero. Quite refreshing, quite lemony tasty. In the video that you just watched, I'm not copywriting it, I promise. I'm just using it for my podcast. Please don't sue. Thanks. Enjoy the rest of the show. Mike out. Hey, that's a pretty cool video right there. It was from the Mythical Kitchen. It's a show on Facebook. It might be on TikTok too with that also. It's probably been on Instagram with Reels. The actor that was there was William H. Macy. On my favorite show, one of my favorite shows of all time was Shameless. He was Frank. And then in one of my favorite movies of all time, Lincoln Lawyer, he was also Frank in that movie too. So, but I loved how that kind of twisted. And shout out to Joey for kind of bringing it up like how it really should be made. And so, but besides that, um, I loved how they described like the process of gumbo, and that to a cook or an average person, I'd be like, oh no, I'll burn everything. That's not right. No, there's a process with that. That's the correct way. You might not think that's the correct way because it's not the normal way of things to do how to cook, but that's the process way of that. You've trusted it. So I got that. I watched that video on Saturday, and I'm like, okay, that's what we're doing. So that's the word of the week, the phrase of the week. It's trusting the process. And I spoke on it with um the guest earlier. Give a little bit of a little news on this. This is again, I'm probably gonna start combining this segment or again, I'm trying to do stuff different every week. I'm really want to get probably about 5 to 10 episodes in and then have a different consistency of how I should run everything. So I appreciate y'all's patience. Get more shares out there. I'm gonna probably start asking that tomorrow when you see this. That's today. I'm recording. It's Thursday, but I need more out there to get more feedback. I need to have an understanding of this. But the guest that you were trying to guess on is Mr. No Only Than Dan Poland. Pretty pumped that after this segment, when I have him on and gonna to chat about a lot of stuff, a lot of things. And if you all know me, has just been always a very influential. Oh, I said that wrong. A very big piece of my life, and I appreciate his friendship. I appreciate his mentorship that he's done for me over the years, and it will never ever go unnoticed how much I love and care about that man, about his family, especially about his wife and his kids and everything else. It's a relationship and a bond that I take very full to my heart. But so that's that. So you get to hear that. I really enjoyed last week's. Hope you enjoyed last week's conversation with Slayton, and I think we might be talking a little bit too long, which is fine. But we got a lot out. We enjoyed a lot out. That right there is a healthy talk that I think a lot more men can do. You can talk to me and we do the same thing. We don't have to. It don't have to be recorded. Call me and do that. That work-life balance was a big topic, of course, and the small things was the other big topic. But this week again, it's trusting the process, and let's get back into it. So the mythical kitchen. They were talking, and he was just like, "Wow, like you took gumbo into act, and then now we're talking about acting. What a combo! What a way to get into that." And the one thing cool that William said was that say like he trusted the director's way of things, and then if he thought like that just didn't work out a time or two, instead of saying, "Hey, hey, hey, we should do it like this," he would continue to trust the process, but say it more of a affirming word of, "Hey, can we try and see how this looks?" That's just so mature, so peaceful, so enjoying, and that kind of like little statement. And I really appreciate hearing that from him on that side. And like you said, he did Seamus for 11 years, 11 seasons, and you know he kind of had to trust the process, continue to for the end story of all this. And I kind of in that aspect, I think in the actor's world, that is a little bit more tricky with that. So I've started to take notes this evening and about how I feel with trusting the processes in different matters and ways. The first one is trusting the process in someone else and how we should take that, how seriously we should take that. I think you should give everybody full on belief that if they've done this for a while, they've done anything like that, like a certain situation for a while, you might want to listen. You might not want to get big old boned and say, nope, nope, you don't know nothing. Nope, give them a try. That's all they probably ever ask. And if you think they can't lead you the right way, perfectly fine. But I have this that says, trusting the process in someone, knowing their growth and knowing that their growth is happening even when the progression isn't loud. Again, I'm going to repeat that again. I'm going to say it correctly. Trusting the process in someone else is knowing that their growth is happening even when their progress is not loud. That's pretty cool. Pretty well thought out on that part. So, what does that say, Michael? What does that mean? How would you go with that? I take it as, sometimes trusting the process doesn't have to be loud at all. It can be very silent. And, sometimes I do say silent is deadly. But you're building that worth, that faith, that trust with that other person, knowing that they have your back, kind of in this little with their back in the situation. That you're leaning hard on them and they're guiding you right through it. And total probably the opposite way. It kind of it kind of can mimic a little bit of, you're trusting their process of this while they come back at you, and they trust your way how you do that. There's a whole bunch of different ways you can roll off with this. Um, First, kind of point with the trusting process. Next point, when trusting um, your own process, stay faithful, stay consistent, patient, and unseen work will be confirmed. When trusting your process, continue to stay faithful in your consistency, in your patience, and your unseen work. It is probably hard to see the end of the light of day when you're doing that by yourself. I go through, kind of TikTok reels in my brain right now, and all that. And I think about one where like it's a movie. I want to say it's a possible Tyler Perry movie, but where like the guy, he had a device to change like I think the world game of the phones. I think that's how it was. And he kept trying and trying and trying. He had poor job after this, poor job after that, and he was by himself. He had nobody else to believe him. Nobody else to believe him. Or I tell you another way too is oh shoot, that movie with Will Smith. I can't think of it right now. I can't think of the name, but in that movie, like he is consistently selling and selling and selling and trusting himself, and he gives that $5 bill to the um his last $5 bill, or it might have been a 20, to the CEO or whatever that was the firm was in charge of, and he trusted the process, that he believed in himself. He knew he could do all these sales. That's another thing. If you're in sales or whatever work you do by yourself, trust the process that you are going to get that done. It is going to happen. You just have to stay faithful. You have to stay consistent. You have to stay patient. You have to stay, you have to know that your unseen work is going to be coming soon. It's going to be shown. It's going to be powerful. And just don't put yourself down in that situation when you're by yourself like this. Next one is my favorite one. As the show is called, Coach Mike. It's more of a team. Trusting the process as a team. Know your role. Know your role. That could be, sports related. That could be work related. That could be, something that you and any type of relationship you have together with anyone could be related to that also. Is know your role and know your sacrifice. My handwriting sucks, folks. I apologize. I was just writing all this stuff fast. So I'll repeat it again. When trusting the process as a team, know your role, know your sacrifice. Build something together that couldn't be built alone. Okay, I'll repeat it again. When trusting the process as a team, know your role, know your sacrifice, and build together something that couldn't be built alone. Nothing is better than trusting that process. Kind of went over it with Slayton last week too about, we implemented and they believed, they trust our process. And I tried to do that with a lot of the teams I had, and a lot of the teams I was a part of. Is that, the end game isn't right now. We're trying to make that end game for later down the road. And trust me, that process, it might suck right now, but it says here at the end, we're building something together to make it to make it to where we couldn't do it without the guy to the left, the guy to the right, the guy behind you, the guy in front of you, the guy over there, the guy over here, or girl, guy, girl, etc. Uh, trust that. It is so amazing to build something like that. I mean, I'm getting kind of like just tickled up. Like, just I want to go build a log cabin out of Lincoln logs together with someone, because just to have that cool feeling and that I'm building up something with somebody like that. Um, and trusting the process. And I'm looking at it as a sports world in this situation, but I'm also looking at, as a relationship world, with your wife, with your best friend, with your coworker, with your the friend that you just kind of met, and they're trying to understand you, and they're trying to kind of figure out what process they had to put through you. So there's other little ways around that. So I have a quote here that I've kind of made up in my own a little bit, and we'll finish out here, and maybe talk a little about something else. But trusting the process can be a major test in your life. You can either get an A plus or fail miserably. It just depends on which route you want to go and how you want to succeed and how you want to fail. And all that kind of depends there with the effort that we just talked about, with the patience, with knowing your role, and knowing that you got to stay consistent. You got to, just like this quote said before, testing the process in someone is knowing their growth is happening even when progress isn't loud. Sometimes just trusting the process is to continue to keep that guy a pat on the back, knowing they're going to eventually get it done. So, um, but yeah, I think that's my video for the week. It's been a long week. I've had a busy week with work, and with other things. I'm There's gonna be some more announcements coming up, probably here shortly, uh, with some things kind of in the works. I'll have to find out. But but I say this all is I'm trusting the process that what I came out to do for this podcast is make it where people can go listen to, sit back, relax, and not have a thought about what's going on in their life that is making them put down. That this podcast is going to be something where somebody can turn on anytime and get a sense of breath of relief. Um, and I'm trusting my process with that, while I have other people in a team aspect helping me along the way. And it's very much appreciated. Um, help a long way with support, help a long way with sharing and caring. That's trusting the process, and it can go a long way for me, to give me a little boost of confidence that I'm trusting myself in this process with this journey to make it through. Also, I've had the worst cough, the stuffy nose, everything this week too. It's been a wonderful, tiring one. So, but yeah, if you take a little shout out with Mythical Kitchen, they got some pretty cool people on there. He gets pretty cool guests. They kind of talk about what their final meal will be. Then they eat it, discuss things, and it's just a cool way to sit back. And it kind of looks like but it is. They're having dinner, they're discussing stuff. It's a real cool kind of like escape how he does that. Um, but no, I want you to continue to trust the process with me in this. Like I said, this journey of this podcast. Um, I still get excited for this. That I'm hoping that maybe there's that one little thing I've said today that could make a difference for somebody's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or they pick up this video about 3 months later and they're listening and make something out of this. So I hope you all have had a great week, and I hope you enjoy this interview with Mr. Poland. And let's have at it. And again, trust the process. Trust the process and someone else by knowing the growth is happening, even when the progress isn't loud. When testing your process, stay faithful in your consistency, your patience, and your unseen work. In the aspect of a team of trusting your process, know your role, know your sacrifice, build something together that you couldn't build alone. Build something together that you couldn't build alone. I swear to you right there, that is so powerful. It can be powerful in a whole lot of ways right there on that quote. And then just something kind of, cute and stubby and cheesy and everything else. Trusting the progress can be a major test. You either can get an A plus or you can get a failing grade. It's all up to you what effort, what patience, what all you want to put into it to be trusting that process. Like I said, it's short and sweet this week. I'm not gonna make it too long. And I just appreciate the time. And again, I'm gonna get one more minute into this. Please, I appreciate the comments. I appreciate the tell me how it goes and everything. Um, like and share the page on YouTube. I put the link out every week with it. Subscribe to it. I have TikTok. I'm gonna try to start putting some stuff on Instagram. Maybe just make a separate page on Instagram for that. I'm not for sure yet. I don't know how deep of a dive and how much of that process I want to go into it. But again, thank you for being on this journey with that also. But I just need more like, hey, this is happening. You're doing great. Uh, what can I fix? What can I do? Be open with me. I'm an open book. Have at it. Tell me what's up. So, and I appreciate that. I'm not going to take offense. I'm not at all whatsoever. So let's trust the process together. Let's have a great rest of the week. I hope you're enjoying this on your Friday morning or whatever time you're looking at it. Again, I think I've put this up already. It's pretty cool, isn't it? This is the Coach Mike and Friends podcast. This week's word, this week's phrase is trusting the process. Hope you can for yourself, for your teammates, and whoever you have that process with. Coach Mike, out. And welcome to the Coach Mike and Friends podcast. I am Mike, and I am tickled to death to have a good, great, lovely, good old buddy, Mr. Dan Poland on the show. Daniel, you could say hello.
Hi, Mike. How you been, buddy?
Wonderful, wonderful. You are up in the wonderful PA, and I know that I think we just talked with Big A. Been up here for 5 years now. You were down here. I'll give people feedback that don't know the relationship between him and I, and then I'm gonna let him, give a little bit of flow out what he does now. But the relationship I had with him is I'm gonna start a long time ago when I was in middle school, and I was like a little old pirate flag boy. And our relationship started of saying, "How are you doing?" Waving, talking, and from there on, it was just the thing of one of the best relationships I've had my whole entire life. And from then on, he took me under a wing. He, took me to one of his own in some ways, and I will always appreciate that for what he's done for me personally in my life. But besides the point of that, that's where our relationship started. He was my coach, and then then we coached together. He brought me on with baseball, and then a little bit on to football, and then some other things, and then we just became friends and continued to be good as the friends. And it's nice to have that in your life when you have those type of older figures like that. So to get to that, kind of tell everybody what you're doing now and how your little situation is up that way.
So I'm doing well. Like I said, I've been gone for about 5 years. Currently the principal at Carmichael's Area School District in Carmichael's, Pennsylvania. So just that's kind of we've been up here, but I grew up about 20 minutes away up in north of where I'm at now in Washington.
That's what I was about
So
to ask.
this was a chance. Yeah, this was a chance to come back home, and so
You
been here
ran
for
with it.
5 years. It's been great, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's that, buddy?
I said, yeah, I love that you got to be able to do that. Um,
Yeah.
and so the one cool thing is you get to show, your kids what you've been doing or what you did. And, I enjoy the little sports things that you all get to do. Take them to,
Yeah. Yeah.
take them to the Pirates
Well,
games? Or
yeah, grew up. Yeah, that was a big part of growing up, going to Pitt games and going to Pirate games and Steeler games and Penguin games. So the kids love it. They love going to games. All five of them
yeah,
enjoy. Pittsburgh's a sports town, so
of course.
they get to see all the aspects of it, and
Yeah, they
it's been
can't do it
fun for
down
them.
here, right? Can't do it in old country land, correct? What you
You know,
used to call
I
it?
tell you what, I'm closer to the Coliseum here, like we do. I hate to admit it, but my wife is still a West Virginia fan, and
Yeah,
so we still, like I said, we're 15 minutes from Morgantown, so we're down in the Coliseum a lot.
gotcha.
I can't say that we've been. I know me and her went to the Pitt West Virginia game a couple years ago. I don't think any of the kids have been to a West Virginia game yet. So, but I'm sure that's
Had
coming here in the next couple
had
years.
Daniel not
So,
been to one?
I don't think he's been the one.
Gotcha. I know maybe like when he was a
Maybe
kid.
when he was little, but I know since
Yeah,
we moved back here, we haven't. The kids haven't been to a football game. Now they've been to a basketball game. They did go to the Marshall, West Virginia soccer game a couple years
gotcha.
ago back when that was a
That's
big
cool.
deal. They were there,
Yeah,
and the baseball field's beautiful down there. So we do hit some
yeah,
baseball games sometimes.
yeah. Do you have like ESPN Plus or whatever?
We have Disney. I mean,
Well, I
we're not a
recommend
big. We I
getting.
don't.
You should if you pay like an extra like $6 or $8 a month with it, you can get that ESPN Plus. I enjoy being able to like be on my phone and watch the game a little bit. That game, you'll pick up pick games and all any other the baseball stuff. And
Okay.
I'll have it on my TV too. But yeah, I really have enjoyed that. So yeah, let's go off that. So whenever you got up there, the main thing, and correct me if I'm wrong, like you went up to get back there and stuff, but you went to, help out with your parents too and such. But how did
Yeah.
the kids, did they, they adjusted pretty well when you got up there?
The whole process of that was I took the job mid school year, so I got
Yeah.
up here in January, and we were still finalizing our house and selling it
Mm-hmm.
and stuff. So Ash kind of stayed with her parents and stuff, so they didn't get up here until March.
Gotcha.
So every weekend I was driving back there, they would come up here. That I do remember that time being a little bit frustrating and not as smooth.
Yeah.
Buying a house is a lot. It's a process, man.
Yeah. I don't want to
And
deal with it as much as I like would love to sell this
and
place. Yeah.
so, but just that process with me being here and them being down there, I didn't enjoy that, and I would never want to do that again because
Yeah.
we were away from each other for about a month and a half. So
Yeah.
that was not enjoyable. But when they
Yeah.
got in here, um, they were just over the hill at the elementary school. So I was up at the other high school, middle school, and they transitioned great. Carmichael's has phenomenal people up here, just as well as you guys know down in Fayette County. Good, when you have good people around you, it makes it easier for
It
everybody.
does.
And
Absolutely.
the people here welcomed our kids. They're very active. The teachers were great, and we got through.
Awesome.
We finished that. I would never recommend if you don't have to move kids out of a mid. Looking back now, I kind of wish they would have just finished down there,
Yeah.
and then we could have transitioned them with a fresh start. But I mean, it's worked out fine. I mean, it always works out
Yeah.
fine, So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
And, it, and, explain, but you've kind of had to deal with that process too, kind of in the same way where you've adopted them. It's kind of a little bit the same transition, kind of correct a little bit. Like, not that they've been used to that, of you being gone, but, they had similar situations, I guess, correct?
Um, as far as
Just like they,
well,
not like they've been in, how long all of, like, two of them have been the crew. How long they've been together with you?
my path to parenthood and my wife's path is uh, super unique, I would say.
Correct.
Um,
Agreed.
we had some problems having children early on. We got into adoption, and we adopted our first son, Daniel.
Yep.
And while we were doing that, my wife got pregnant with her son, Gabriel.
Hmm.
And we found out early in Ashley's pregnancy she was going to have some problems. Gabe was going to have some problems,
Yeah.
We were very lucky to have Gabe for about a month, and then he ended up passing. And we went through that with Daniel, and then we took a break, and then we got back into adoption, and then we got Dalton and Mason.
There we go.
And as we got Dalton and Mason, we got our other daughter Kinsey,
Yeah.
and so we were very, very blessed and fortunate enough to be able to adopt them. And as we were doing all that, then we got surprised with our
Yeah.
son Madden. So,
Yeah.
we went from 0 to 5 kids in about 2 years, and
Crazy.
wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I was telling you earlier, that's kind of like the topic I was telling you earlier was like trusting the process. And we've talked before, and we've had these talks like this. Like we know our faith and everything. We have that. I don't bring up all on it, but a lot of that trusting the process was having a little bit of faith into that, and and look what it got you, and look what it has you now. Um,
Yeah.
and to go off that too, we were talking about earlier, and I'm glad you brought it up this way. Um, how did you handle that time frame? With Gabriel that first month, and then a little bit more after that, personally, and then if you want to talk about more of the family aspect personally, or just yourself, you can, but it's really just more on your end of personally how you dealt with it.
Well, I don't think anybody kind of deals with it. I mean, you still deal with it now. We still deal
Correct.
with it now. There's, you know, but my wife is a phenomenal woman. She's my rock, and I'd like to say I'm the same for her.
Yeah.
So we it's weird. Like it's been 6 years.
Yeah.
Around the time August 8th and July 6th are big dates in our house. That's when he
Yeah.
was born and when he passed. So
Correct.
those are constant reminders every year. It's weird when we go down to Morgantown or something. Like we were in Ronald McDonald house right there by the Coliseum
Yeah.
or the football stadium. So
Mm-hmm.
every time we're down around that area, it's I don't it's just a sense of you
It's
just
like
kind of
it's
flash back
yeah,
to that
it's just like when
time.
you drive anywhere and you remember something like,
Yeah,
oh yeah,
yeah, yeah. So that I don't know if you ever just deal with it,
you don't,
um,
yeah,
but I know Gabe's up in heaven looking down on us, and
exactly.
I'm very thankful for that. And then so we just our kids are Gabe's one of that we have pictures and they all know about Gabe and they talk
That's
about
awesome, and
Gabe.
and that's how it should
Um,
be.
so I don't know that it'll ever change either that way. So
There's not a right formula. That's what I discussed before. There's really not a right formula. Like it's going to come. Grief comes to you in a bunch of different times, and in a
sure,
bunch of different moments, just like you said.
sure.
And it hits you either like a ton of bricks, or it might hit you like a pillow fight. It just depends what moment and what day. And
Yeah.
and and I appreciate you sharing that, because and no more words. You've had a bunch of support, and support helped you out, and has helped you out in these times like that, especially from Ashley, but especially from some other people. The support factor and that grief factor probably has helped you out a lot.
Sure, absolutely. Having good people around you is always important.
Yeah. So I told you last week the big topic was work-life balance, and you just named off all your children, and that's a lot. And how do you personally, and then how do you and Ashley work together with that, and how does that make how do you run that successful part of that for your life?
It's you just enjoy it and embrace the chaos.
Yeah.
You know, we're very blessed, man. It's like I always use the analogy. It's like Chuck E. Cheese every day at our house because it is. I mean, and it's the best. It's the best. I mean, anybody that has kids, we try to realize that the house is going to be a mess and things aren't
Yeah.
going to get done and kids are going to be screaming but the old adage, try to enjoy it while it happens because it's not going to last forever. So
Yeah.
I think we just try to try to enjoy it as we can,
Make it
and
it's a
then
it's a new adventure every day.
yeah, it is. I mean, we just we laugh and the kids are great, man. So
Yeah. And the big topic I kind of talked about last week is how I watched a couple videos before that and I seen it, and that's kind of what got me started on that topic. Was there's a reason why a lot of people sometimes when they get home they spend like 15, 20 minutes in their car just to relax and get ready to go because they've had such a crap day at work. Why do you want to bring it into your peace that's supposed to be home? And it's not fair for anybody else around you because of that. And that's a little bit, I think, and you could agree disagree. I think not really more your generation. I think maybe go another 15, 20 years up. That I think that generation had a little bit more of a problem with that. That they would bring a lot of work home or a lot of either paperwork or personal, getting personal hurt from work. Instead of just walking through the door and making a complete clear out. And it seems like you probably do a good job at that, or maybe you don't do a good job at that.
I think that that's a case by case. Everybody has different stories. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Different jobs, more responsibilities, less
correct.
responsibility. At the end of the day, my kids are going to remember me for me, and I don't. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
uh, I want to do a phenomenal job at my job. I love what I do. I've always loved working in the public school setting. So
yeah,
I want to do a great job there as well. Balancing that's it's preparation, prioritization, time management,
yeah,
all that stuff goes into that, and sometimes you are going to have to stay late for a meeting to make sure that you
correct.
get stuff done. But sometimes it is important to get to your kids' game, and it is important to spend some time with your wife
Yeah,
and do all that stuff.
I
So
think you
that I
said the
just
key
think that
word right
that's
there. Yeah,
different for each individual.
it is. And but you said the key word right there. You said prioritize. There's ways of doing it healthy, and that's exactly what you just said. There's ways to make it prioritize healthy compared to just, you know, doing the same thing every single day with the same routine of you're staying an extra 30 minutes to get this stuff done when probably earlier in the day you could have done it, and just what you're used to. So, um, but yeah, no, I'll go off that and we'll kind of get to a little bit of sports and maybe kick back something else. So you are in Pittsburgh, and I'll say this, and you've had some funnies with this. Um, I said I'll have to send you the link so you can watch a little bit of it. But I told people the reason why I started this podcast was because there was a really tough time where I was dealing with a lot of grief myself when my uncle passed away, and it's just because at a younger age, my mother passed away younger, and I didn't, and I not to nothing effect of like my dad or my family didn't really do a good job keeping me with grief. I was 7 years old. I should know what to deal with that. But I think it affected me harder along when I got older at that age when he passed away when I think I was 28. Um, so 20 or 29. But I brought that up because I would watch McAfee, and there's that time period where like the best part of my day, like I love Lainey to death. She was a great support system through all that, and even when I wouldn't tell her sometimes how I was feeling due to the grief. But the best part of my day was watching the Pat McAfee show. Like I was just sitting back, enjoying what they had to say and such. And that's kind of what this started to not because I think I could do the same thing, but just be another outlet for somebody there like that. Because that's what I went through that I had to deal with. And that was the highlight of my day to listen to all that stuff. So to go off that, sports related, Pittsburgh is that town. That's where he's from, etc. What makes Pittsburgh that town? Like you've grew up there, you've lived there, you're living there now. What makes Pittsburgh? You think in just a few words or sentences and such?
I mean, the city of Pittsburgh itself, it's a blue collar town. I mean, it's a sports town. They've had a strong tradition of sports, and they continue to do that. I mean, I'm telling you, you better get your Pirate tickets now.
All right, he was talking about the sports town. He said how blue collar. I forgot to put on Do Not Disturb. Remember, folks, this is very unfiltered, unscripted, and I do not like editing so far. So, but like you were saying, it's blue collar. They have tradition. Pittsburgh is tradition. Um, but you've had you've had like the down years and such and everything. Not down years. You get what I'm saying. Are you they when I look on Twitter and stuff, sorry, I say Twitter, but it's X. Um, but you look on there and people are just tired of the owner and everything. Do you kind of, how's that topic for yourself?
I've watched the Pirates when they lost, when they win. I'm a fan. I think they're going to win it every year. You know what I mean? So
Of course.
I love the game of baseball. They're all professionals, so those guys can do it way better than I can. And
Correct.
I'm not in the front.
Yeah,
Fans are fans. Fans want to win. Everybody wants to win.
correct.
You know what I mean?
But you're
So
thinking as a coaching aspect too, and
I
not
am. Yeah. I mean, as a fan, I thought last year they put a great product on the field. It's tough when you
agreed.
start out. When you start out, they just didn't get off to a great start. It's hard to dig a hole when you're 14 games under 500. They
Yeah,
had some. I mean, we went to a lot of games last year. They were fun to watch, and I think that they're going to be fun to watch this year. So
yeah. I think they're doing the right things. I don't think they're doing the wrong things. I don't think the owner is doing the wrong things. I think it's just more they know that he could spend more money. It's just not happening.
yeah,
But dude, some of the best teams that have won recently, besides the Dodgers, have not had the
everybody
biggest
watches
payroll.
Moneyball, man.
Yeah,
Everybody wants to be Billy Bean. So I mean, they spent
correct.
money this year. So
They did. They did. That's what I was saying. They did
you
spend some
know,
money.
starting rotation is going to be solid, and they
Yeah,
got they brought in some guys that can hit it. I mean, I'm telling you, better buy your tickets this year, man.
yeah. That season, get them season tickets. They'll probably be $200 for the whole year. No, and then try to say here. But I guess also, people, they might know this, they might not know this about you, but you are a Buffalo Bills fan also. And that's
Oh
just
yeah.
because I guess they were good around the time where you in your childhood where you had the Jim Kelly
Well,
and
they
everything.
lost the real reason I watched them growing up. The real reason I'm a Buffalo Bills fan is because they had my favorite player of all time was Doug Flutie. So
Gotcha. I did not
when
know
Doug
that.
Flutie was there, I used to, that's when I really, really started enjoying watching the Bills,
I
and
did not know you love Doug
and then I
Flutie.
just thought,
That is
oh yeah,
awesome.
Doug, favorite player of all time was Doug Flutie. So
That is
when he
amazing.
was there, and I actually had tickets one year. It was a New Year's Day game against Indianapolis,
Yeah.
and they benched. We drove up there in January weather, and they benched him for the playoffs, and they put a guy
Huh.
named Rob Johnson in, and then
Yeah.
the next week was the Music City Miracle, and he didn't get to
Yeah.
play in the playoff game anyway. So I'm not a big Wade Phillips fan because he was the head coach then. But I did get to see Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison and all those
That's
guys when they
awesome.
had them. So,
Yeah.
but
Something cool like off Peyton. I would go to my in-law or not my in-laws. My family out in Indiana had season tickets for out there or for the Colts games. And I went to see Peyton when he played. I think it was the Jets. And at the time, they didn't know. Nobody didn't know about Peyton's injury with his neck. So at the time, nobody had no idea. So technically, I saw Peyton Manning play his last football game in a Colts uniform. Now,
okay,
now he was on the sidelines and stuff for another year, and then of course they didn't re-sign him, and he went to Denver. But yeah, technically, I seen Peyton in his last game in a uniform while I was playing for him. It's just kind of cool to say that. Not who would ever know that you'd have the ability to say that.
yeah.
But yeah, they yeah, I went to the game just recently. I think well, no, you didn't see it. Did I send you a picture when I came up to Pittsburgh for that last game of the year?
The
Did I
football
tell you
game?
that? Yeah, did I tell you I was up
No,
there or no?
I
Yeah,
don't
I didn't.
remember
My
that.
bad.
The
Yeah, no, I
Baltimore
did. Yeah,
game?
yeah. Simple had
Okay.
tickets, Mr.
Well,
Zachary, and we
okay.
went. And the only thing I hated is I do not like going up to the tip top because I feel like my big old butt will slip down them stairs at any point in time. But we had it was right on the 40, 50 yard line, but it was right in the tip top of the 500s, which was fine.
Okay.
I was fine when I sat down and watched the game, but going down, I was like a peepaw, trying not to slip and fall on those slicky stairs. Um, but yeah, it was awesome. I hadn't been up there in about like 10 years for a game, and it was just cool to kind of see. And so again, going back to the Peyton Manning thing, I was at Mike Tomlin's last regular season game. So,
Yeah, you were there.
yeah. Um, yeah, even with that, you just feel like probably his time was just, it was done. And not that he knew it, but you think that was probably the right move and such with that?
I don't know. I just with that, I'm see, I'm a Pitt fan. I'm not a Steelers fan.
Correct,
So
exactly. I
I
know
don't,
that. Yeah.
you know, the guy never lost. He never had a losing
No.
season. But all good things come to an end, and I'm sure he left on his terms.
Yeah.
He's the one that made the decision. So good for him. It looks like he's living up retirement right now. And like I said,
He's
all
happy as could be.
nothing lasts forever. So I mean,
No. But I was kidding with Simple. I said, dude, it'd be absolutely hilarious if they hire Mike McCarthy. I said it would be wonderful. He's like, that's so silly. Why would he do? I was like, but dude, the man is from Pittsburgh, literally from Pittsburgh, and it would be the greatest hire because he would probably go in overdrive to work his butt off to try to bring one back. Not that he didn't
sure,
do it elsewhere with Green Bay and the Cowboys. He tried with the Cowboys. Just the players made stupid moves on that end for him to try and win a ball game in the playoff. But just a matter of like he's home. He can relax and breathe. I think it's gonna be a different thing for them. And then I see, since you are a Bills fan to somewhat, they fired what's his face? I don't know why, Sean McDermott, and
Thurman.
then
Yeah,
and then hired Brady. And I think that was a good hire. I think Joe Brady's a good dude, and I think he's got the right thing to go for him. But they got to figure out some other things on that end. Plus, the Bills always has dealt with some injuries that on the defensive side, and that's what always sucks too, um, on that end. But on to the Pitt part. Um, I know you're like always mixture during the season, football wise, with Narduzzi, and and how he just does things. How, do you feel like he's ever on a hot seat, or he just has things made still?
I think I mean, we've got him under contract for next couple 5 years. The landscape of
Yeah,
college has changed so much. He wants to be there. I like that. You know what I mean?
yeah,
He wants to
correct.
be in Pitt, and so the last 2 years. I mean, we're relevant. I mean, we were 7-0
I
the year
agree.
before.
I agree.
We kind of hit we hit a slide where we kind of didn't finish strong, and this year up to the Miami and the Notre Dame game, we were relevant. So I mean, I
Correct.
can't ask. I mean, I think he's been there for a
Even
minute,
losing
and
to Notre Dame, you still had a chance to make to the championship game somehow,
yeah, I
like
mean, if you
just
beat
like how
so
Duke
I
did.
mean, you're in it in the end of the season, and that's all you can ask for. So
Yeah.
I mean, like
And now technically,
looking
if it
forward to
ends the
this year.
same, yeah, and if it ends like it did, like for Duke or Miami this past year, they can make the playoff that way. And I think
Sure,
that should have been
yeah,
a rule from the get go. Is if it'd be just like the basketball tournament. Is if you make, you know, the tournament or whatever, you should be able
you
to
win
get
the
in no matter
comp,
what.
you win the yeah. Hey, bud, college sports is different now, man. It's
I
a
know.
whole different
But
ball game.
go off of that. What's so different for you with this NIL stuff and everything? Like what is
Nothing
is
for
there any
me. I'm
good
just a
you like
fan.
about it?
I don't understand it. I don't pretend to know anything about it. I still love watching college sports. So
Yeah,
it's just a different. It's just different
landscape.
now. So,
Yeah.
but I don't think it'll ever. I mean, it's still the same sport. It's just
Do you think it's going to get better within the next 5 years? Like that wise of dealing, how to handle all the stuff that is going on, or you just think it's
Yeah,
still
I
going to be
mean,
like a crap show?
no, I mean, people will understand and learn how to, maneuver through the system. So I think it'll
Yeah.
be fine. I mean, it'll be
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah, the only thing that I think that a lot of people want is they like what's going on. They just want some more clarity what should go on, I guess for say.
Everybody has an
And
opinion now.
yeah,
You
exactly.
know?
Um, I do agree with a lot of the coaches though, where they think it needs to go like an extra week or two early so everything can be done because I think that's the big issue is a lot of kids are leaving. They have to leave for the portal to get to the school next
Yeah,
so they can do spring ball and stuff. That's my only
sure.
issue I have of it. That's the only thing I wish they'd fix is the schedule for that part. because that sucks. Because like just like the Ole Miss thing, or this, I just say relevance to this because of Lane Kiffin and all that is like those players are playing right into that time frame, and they got to decide if they want to still be part of the team to go to possibly a national championship or the third game or the game to get to that game, and they're having those thoughts of after the ball game, I just lost, but I need to figure out if I'm being a portal or not. That should be a thought for those young men to have and have to decide while after they play a football game like that. So they need to fix that and kind of get it handled straight and stuff. And but I enjoy Nick Saban talking his talk and about all that stuff too, and he's right with a lot of the stuff he says. But but they say they should be like a commissioner or something. I have a big fear, not fear, but I have a big wonder. I think in the next 10, 15 years, I don't think there'll be an NCAA. Like I don't see. I just don't see college. Like I just see like the SEC and the Big Ten and the Big 12 just saying, "Hey, we have enough money to give you to not even go to college now, and you'll just play. You'll just do this."
Well, a
I
lot
don't
of
want
people
that to
think
ever
it's
happen.
minor league sports now, but I don't know. I
Correct.
still think you used to have some. There's got to be some. And again, I'm not the expert on this. I have no idea, but I still think those kids have to meet some academic requirements. Most
Well,
of them
yeah,
have already graduated once or have 2 or
correct.
3 degrees, so they're
That's
already
like,
done.
yeah,
You know,
that's like Carson Beck. He openly admitted and said, "Yeah, I haven't been to
yeah. Well, good
classes."
for him. I mean, he's got
Yeah,
degrees, and
yeah.
I mean, good for that
He's
kid.
just he's just doing the bare minimum to make him be on a college football team, and that's fine.
And I mean, I'm
It's
sure
part of
he's
the
smart.
system
Yeah,
way.
I mean,
But it's not like that hasn't been done before either, because a lot of those players and athletes they put more hours on the time they're off than the time that they're on, and that's why they do a lot for summer classes and stuff to make it even and everything else. Um, you know, just a quick question with that, like, how long did you play all of your college time, like with baseball, or I can't remember how long you had that, or how
yeah, I
long did you
played
play?
4 years.
That's what I
I
thought.
played four
Okay,
years. hmm
so what's like take that right there and then compared to now, how would you feel if you were back in the day and you had to somewhat of an opportunity to make a little bit of money elsewhere compared to like
I
knowing
was
that you
never
might
that good.
start somewhere else?
I was never that good, so I didn't
I
have
know
to
you
worry about.
weren't, but just take a thought and feeling. I mean, just
I,
take
you
that
know,
thought and feeling.
I, I, I don't know, but I can't answer that. I mean,
I just a big thing I
uh,
wonder sometimes is like kids like they're taking money over like possible more playing time, or they're not commit they're taking the money and they're supposedly guaranteed the playing time. Um,
I don't know
I've
how that all works. Like I said, when
yeah,
I'm sure those guys, it's just like I said, it's a completely different landscape. So,
it is. It is. I think college basketball is the worst out of any of it, and it just there's too much. I like the whole people can play in the NBA or the G League and come back and play. Now they got rid of that guy from Alabama, but I just think that is unbelievable how that happens and such.
you have a lot of, the age difference is one thing that's notable. You got a lot of older guys playing in college now. So,
Yeah, 24, 20, like that team last year
before it
with
was
Auburn.
before it was 18 to 23-year-olds, that was usually your age pool, maybe
Yeah,
24 at the highest. But now you got
hmm
26, 27, 28
it's
year olds.
insane.
So,
Yeah, it's insane. That's like telling a high school kid, or that's like a high school kid playing against a middle schooler. I mean,
yeah, I mean, you got grown men playing against, but they're grown men too. So,
true, but they got
so,
a little more extra calf muscle than they might. So,
I hear you, bud.
um, now, going off that, um, how's your like so how's your high school sports in the area? Like, how's that for you and such? Still, is it
It's
how
good,
does
man. The
your
Whippeal. I mean, the Western Pennsylvania is known for sports, especially
yeah,
football. I mean,
course
wrestling has taken off. Wrestling's very big, always been big in Western Pennsylvania. Um, it's a great sport. I mean, it is. I mean, this area of Western Pennsylvania
home of Wayne
is
Yonkels?
no. Well, he's from Easton, I do believe. I think Easton was. more of the middle of
Gotcha.
the state. I could be
10-4.
wrong about that.
Yeah, well, yeah,
Uh-huh.
but still, PA, home of
Yeah,
fame.
yeah. He
He's
Coach
still
Junkel.
going at it. He's still going at it.
I have no doubt he'll go. He'll go long, long before any
Well,
of
he
us. I mean,
said,
that
like, a
guy,
few years ago he was going to retire, and then he just stick back at it. So,
he's
yeah,
the
he's
man. I
still
miss that
working.
guy.
I know. I love that guy. But yeah, no, it's now it's been like kind of in the rumbles. There's something was supposed to happen sooner, but today they announced the SSAC announced that or the girls wrestling, they're officially going to have the next couple weeks regionals, and then they'll have it
Awesome.
individually at state. So
Good.
that was
That's
supposed to
awesome, man.
happen
Yeah,
sooner,
yeah.
but they
Girls,
finally got it all approved. Yeah.
well, good for them. Yeah, girls wrestling's taken off too.
It's awesome. Like it's just so cool to watch that. Like it's just crazy. Like you'd see like in TV shows or movies, like oh my god, that's just not normal. And then now it's like normal. It's normal to see that happen, and
Good.
it's cool. But does Daniel still wrestle?
He did. He wrestled this year. He's in eighth grade. He wrestled junior high. So it's they junior high up here is like eighth and ninth and maybe some tenth.
Gotcha.
So he did it. And then our middle son Mason wrestled, and then we got two basketball players and a gymnast. So
Beautiful. I love
yeah,
it. I know with well, I scroll back. Sometimes I gotta look for some old photos to do funnies or share people. And one of my first photos I have in the back of my photo album is him with that helmet on. So I
I
always,
have that. Yeah,
yeah, I will always picture him still with that. As
sure.
much as you post photos of him looking like an old dog, I will always think of him that way. Um, the biggest thing you were down here. How long were you down here for, like time wise?
Um, 20 years,
That's what I thought. I knew it was something like that.
2014 to yeah, about 19, 20 years. Yeah.
14? Are you sure?
Well, no, I mean 2000. I think I moved down there in 2004,
Okay, there we go. There we go. Okay, I was about to say.
2005, and then I
Yeah,
left
yeah,
in
yeah.
21. So yeah,
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, I got you. 14 years, and then I got you now.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. What is besides probably your in-laws or whatever? What's one thing you might miss down this way?
No, I miss it all, man. I mean, 20 years is a long time.
Yeah,
Anytime, I mean, we come back. Not as
of
much as
course.
probably should, but
Well, it's kind of hard with the crew you got.
I mean, yeah, like I had phenomenal memories of everybody down there. Everybody was great.
Yeah,
I enjoyed coaching. I mean, it was a big part of it. I mean, enjoy the guys that I coach with. I, you know, the
it was a good
players,
time.
the
It was a
area.
good
It
time.
was. It was a great time. It was a very important time.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean,
so I
very.
miss it all down there. I miss it all.
Yeah.
It was all great.
Uh,
It was all great. So
I'm gonna throw this at you. Probably nobody. You've probably and don't answer if you don't. But when I got out of coaching and stuff, it was a lot to do with COVID, and COVID really whipped my butt. Like it whipped my butt. Like I hated it. I was not a happy person when that was happening. But with your team that you had that year when COVID happened, how do you ever go back every year and just think about that, like
yeah,
the baseball season
yeah,
starts?
yeah. I mean, yeah. I think I'm more bitter about it now than when it actually was happening. I have great relationships with a lot of the players and the parents, and those
Yeah,
guys were I mean, the pictures on the wall in my office right now.
that's
Got a
awesome.
lot of pictures of the teams I coach. So yeah, that would have been a great team to watch play. And we tell that story all the time. We were down at Hurricane for the scrimmage, and it was a 9 inning scrimmage, and we were talking to the coach. He's like, "You think we'll be?" I said, "Yeah, we'll be back in 2 weeks. I don't think." And then we left the next day and didn't come back, and
It was
so it was
crazy.
one of those
I mean,
things.
and
Yeah.
what's crazy to me is just other places in the country were still allowing baseball, and this could have been like one of the places that could have done that and allowed that. And I just still think it's so crazy that it wasn't. But that's a whole
Everything
other
happened
topic.
for a reason, man. Everything
Exactly,
happens
it
for a
does.
reason, and
I'm a
those
big
guys,
believer in that. Yep.
Yeah, and I talked to some, a good amount of those players. That would have been a fun team. I wouldn't have to
Oh,
do any coaching. I wouldn't
yeah.
have to do any coaching on
No,
the team. I
you
could
wouldn't
have
have.
sat on
I
the
remember
bucket and
everybody that was
watched them.
supposed to play. Yeah, you're exactly
Yeah.
right. That's old Maxie boy. He actually takes really good photos of nature. It's amazing.
I do. I see that stuff on Instagram. He's very
Yeah,
talented. Yeah.
it's awesome. I'm like, buddy,
Yeah.
bravo to you. It is beautiful what he does. He puts it on
Yeah.
his TikTok and puts it like in different little transitions and stuff. It's pretty neat. Him and uh
Sure.
him and Reinhardt do it together. It's pretty cool.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
then sometimes you remember Jack Ellis?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, they get together too. Him and then Drew oh goodness gracious alive. Um his sister Lauren. Well, I can't think of their name. Save my life.
Vaught. Vaught.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, they all do it together too.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. I saw him over the summer and Drew Vaught and at a Zach Top concert. I said I haven't seen you in years, and I made the joke. I was like, "Man, I figured it's the same. You're still the same size I saw you 6 years ago." But I was kidding with him on that. But I repeated to him again. He is still probably in my top five most of my favorite players ever coached in my life. He
Those are all
like
good boys.
yeah, they are, and I've and you know you watched Max grow up, you watched Hunter grow up, and it's just cool how they are now, and they're still making something of themselves, and
Sure.
it's pretty cool to see that. I'm starting to see a little bit more of when I first coached, I was just morely helping and learning and doing other things like that, and then once I kind of got about 4 or 5 years in, I was starting to be around kids that I didn't really know, and I had more of an opportunity to coach. So now when I see those guys like Eli Sedlock or Selvey or the Dempseys or any of them or and such like that. It's cool to see them doing cool, good things, and it makes me proud knowing that maybe I had a small part of it or whatever. Or it's cool when I see them out in public and the first thing they do is shake my hand and then bring me in to hug me. So
There you go.
it's cool to have that, I guess, that factor of it. But yeah, no. Last thing, and then we'll kind of recap and get off. Um, you you know, and before I go to this question, do you miss any of the coaching, or do you just enjoy what you do?
Well, I mean, the last 3 years I've still done football up here. They asked me to do that.
Oh, I did not
So
know that. How was
yeah,
that?
it was great. It was great.
I did not know you were
So
doing that. So that's awesome. So
yeah,
so what? Or you just So when I did the last year at Riverside, I made a funny and just considered myself an offensive analyst. It was I didn't do I wasn't over nothing. I had a good time hanging out. Like um I was more of a support, asking, hey, how would this be? I kind of helped out more of practice stuff and what needed to
sure.
be, ran for scout team and everything.
There you
Um,
go.
yeah, I'm just more of that because, not because of that, but I was stepping in kind of late in August, and I just kind of said, I got offered by my buddy Slayton to come down because he knew he'd been wanting me to come down for a while, and I was still with Fedville, still doing that, and then I had an opportunity to, and then took it, and I only stayed because I really thought the talent that I saw was going to be like 6-4, 7-3 in a very hard schedule with that MSAC. Like the MSAC is horrible. Like not horrible, bad. It's tough competition, and to find the win is pretty hard in that. And we were playing really good Hurricanes in the Huntington in football, and right
Yeah.
there, nothing against the team we had, but those are hard wins to get. And
Sure.
because there was guys on the other side going Division 1 and some big Division 2s. But besides the point, we ended up being, I think, 3-7, 4-6, and not that that mattered, but it was just it was a cool just to sit back and not have a role. And but at the end of the day, that was the last time I've coached besides the baseball, and that's a whole other story with that too. But no, so you coach. So were you OC? What all did you exactly do?
So my first year, I just kind of worked up in the booth, just kind of
Kind of like what
doing that
I just
stuff,
said.
and then the last two, yeah, the last 2 years, I did get to, they put me in the offensive coordinator role, and so I got to do that. And
That's awesome. I did not know you're back in it. Now, are you back in it now, or you say bye bye?
I am not. This past year was, my last year. I don't want Daniel's going to be in high school next year, and I
Yeah,
just want to kind of watch. And
awesome.
I'm doing the little league and t-ball stuff, and so
Yeah,
that's kind of where I'm at in
cool.
regards to coaching.
That's
So
awesome. I did not know
yeah,
you did that. That's cool. How was your records?
we were good. We were 4-5, 5-4, and this past year we're 5-4, about 500. So,
Gotcha.
um, very talented kids. Got to coach against the kid that's going to West Virginia.
Cool.
Your neck of the what? We played Fort Cherry a couple years. Matt Sieg, phenomenal, just a phenomenal player. Got
Yeah,
to watch him
yeah.
up close and personal. Just you guys are getting a really really good player down there.
Yeah. I was about to say he's got like he's a little bit tall and lanky, but built real well. Like, is that kind of who I'm thinking that is?
You played quarterback, I think. I mean, just a phenomenal. The speed
Yeah,
is, it's next level speed.
legit.
So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's the thing that was crazy with me when you and I, we dealt with the realm of, double, single A. You had a little bit with the triple A, a little bit. But when I faced Huntington, there was a boy, I think he ended up going to Clemson. I could be wrong. I can't remember. But just like, when I was at Capital working and I was off that year, I was watching film with another guy that coaches for Capital at the time. And I was like, man, I was like, is that number 5 a junior or senior? He's like, no, that boy's a freshman. I'm like, Jesus Louise. And then when I see it, face in person, we had finally. I mean, we were down, I think, by like 24 to like 6 or something. And when we finally faked him out with a we did like a little bit of a slug route and faked it with that. He caught it. He's going down, and that boy caught up with him within about 20 yards and made a fumble. And that moment there, I had never done this before, Paul, in my any time of coaching. I took my little clipboard I had of stuff, and I put it down on the table, and I walked down to the press or off the press box, and I was spent the fourth quarter just watching the ball game, just because I knew like they're just it was just unbelievable. And they ended up winning that year. They beat Martinsburg that year, but it was just unbelievable the talent that was at. And it's not that I've never seen Division One, but it's just crazy when you watch that stuff, like how special those kids are. And you don't get to see that from time to time, I guess, always. And it was a cool experience for say. And then the game before, Darnell Wright, where he plays for the Bears and he's from Huntington. He went to Tennessee. Do you remember him at all?
I don't. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, no, well, he went to Huntington, then he went to Tennessee, and then
Okay.
he's the left tackle for the Bears. And
Okay.
like those rails that like people have for when they're like you're going to like a event or concert. It's like the little uh round rectangular with the things in the middle, or whatever. I watched him jump one of those just with no like effort whatsoever. And I'm like, okay, that he's legit. He's an NFL lineman doing that, weighing 300 some pounds. I thought that was
Sure.
just all right. Yeah, that's how the game's going to go, just like that. Even though he was I think he was a senior that year. So, but yeah, no. God, that's cool that you coached another 3 years. I didn't know that. That's awesome. That made my whole day hearing that, knowing you got back into it for a hot minute. Um, but yeah, no. I I always end the recap with people I talk to, and kind of give them another shout out for you've like I said, you've been in my life since since I was 13, 14 years old, and I value everything that we've had together, from a lot of the aspects. And last weekend would have been our little trip. I do love seeing the memory lane of those when they pop up on my
There you
Snapchats or up in my pictures. Those are good times of moments of that way. And and the little foursome that we have of that relationship is still to this day one of the best I have, and
Good
I
guys.
appreciate. Yeah, I've told Sean about this podcast, and Oki's listened to a little bit of it, so maybe he'll, when I tell him that you're
Yeah.
on it, he'll listen to this. But that you all have put me that little time period is a time period I go back, sit, relax, and think I'm there, because it was just like we had no cares in the world. We're enjoying ourselves, and nothing kind of mattered besides watching really good baseball. And
Absolutely.
I wish we could do it every single day of our life. Like just move down to Florida, retire,
Yeah.
somebody hit the lottery, and call it a day.
There you go,
But
buddy.
but besides going off that, um, again, I appreciate you joining me. I appreciate just again, you're always there, a text away or a phone call away, and it's always valued and much appreciated from that standpoint. So,
All right,
but
buddy. Well,
no,
I'm glad you're doing well, and tell everybody I said hi down there.
shall
It's
do. They'll, I
it's
know.
you
So,
know,
did you see what I sent you earlier?
uh,
Well, you can look in a minute, but what it is so I do a lot with work. I chat GPT and Google Gemini crap, and
okay.
I make funny things. Well, I took the Poland flag, and I took the Pitt Panther logo, and I asked it
Oh,
to put it
yeah, I
together.
did see that. I got you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that
Um,
was my hey. Can you guess who's the
there you
guest
go.
this week? I thought that was funny. Plus, playing the Sweet Caroline added on to it in the background thought was a little extra flavor for that one. So, but no, but yeah, no. Get the kids to bed if they already aren't, and
All right,
and
buddy.
tell Ashley hello for me also. So, and
I sure will, buddy.
everybody else. But man, I love you and thank you for being on. And this is the Coach Mike and Friends podcast. Peace.
Buddy.
I don't know why I didn't do this in any of my video, because normally I do, but I'm gonna take time to say thanks for Coach Poland, Dan Poland, to come and doing that podcast part with me. I've said it before in the videos. I love that man. I appreciate what he's done in my life. Love his family. I will be forever grateful for him. But I didn't say any of this. My little quote: "Be somebody that somebody needs today." Okay, simple as that. Easy as that. Okay, be somebody that somebody needed today. Have yourself a Friday or whatever day you're watching. Okay, Coach Mike out. Thanks for watching. Peace.